And most importantly, it empowers you to be comfortable, content, and confident inside of your mind, body, and soul. So we'll leave this slide up, and that's kind of what Danielle was alluding to earlier with her experience. So I'm going to tell you a story now, because I want you to know that I come by this definition really honestly. So how did I get here? Fact is sometimes stranger than fiction. So once upon a time, I was an engineering student at Stanford. And I was studying environmental engineering because I wanted to save the world one sustainable solution at a time. And I was doing it, and I was taking all-nighters, and I was doing problem sets, and I was dominating. But I'm also like fun and energetic, so I was also doing musicals, and I was a counselor, and I was saving sororities, and there were Chi Omegas in the room. I saved that one at Stanford. And I was like, basically like, this is amazing, I'm amazing, I'm never sleeping, that's okay, I've gained 30 pounds, that's okay, I'm sick at least once a quarter with something like mono or pneumonia or bronchitis, that's okay, I'm in my 20s, whatever, life's good. I end up graduating with my BS and my MS, and I'm like, this is fine, everything's fine, I'm great, everything's great, right? I managed to get a job, it's 2009, it's right at the start of the recession, and I managed to get a consulting job, which is like nearly unheard of. And I'm freaking Elwoods. No thought I could be an engineer, did it. No thought I could get a job, did it. Deal with it, not stopping. So then I go up to Portland, Oregon, and I'm a Southern California girl, so I grew up not that far from here. And I start to get seasonal depression, right? Seasonal depression is a real thing. And I'm denying it. I'm like, no, I'm fine, it's all good, I'm so happy. And it's pretty obvious pretty quickly as I start this job that like, I'm not meant to be an engineering consulting firm. But because I'm 3 Ps, a perfectionist, a performer, a people pleaser, and I think this is what I was supposed to do because, right, this is what Stanford kids do. This is what successful people do. They go down this path and they don't cry about it. They just do it, right? I kind of swallow that down. And then, luckily, God is a devil. And she gave me a wake-up call. And when I was 24, I got toxic shock syndrome. Not from a tampon, from a cut in the leg. And I spent 4 days in the ICU, and I almost died. And it was the most harrowing and horrible experience of my whole life. And so I leave the hospital, and I've already got 10 years worth of exhaustion, and seasonal depression, and overwhelm. And now on top of it, I have very serious PTSD. And I start to like, okay, maybe I'll like try therapy, right? Like I'll go to therapy for a little bit, and I go to therapy for a little bit, and it kind of helps. And I'm like, you know, the only thing that I know how to do that's hardwired into my body, into my mind at this point is like, suck it up, deal with it, move forward. So I don't take the time I need to heal. And the only coping mechanism that I truly have is pouring myself into my work. That's where my self-worth comes from. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do that. I'll do that. So I do that, and I crush it. I crush it so hard as an engineer and as like this communicator and this like person who's an outlier that at the age of 26, my Fortune 500 company asked me to move to their headquarters and direct the global rebrand of the company. And I'm like, I'm 26, you know that? I'm like an engineer, right? So, and they're like, yeah, I can do that though. You can do it, you got great energy. And I'm like, okay, sweet, sounds important, sounds fancy. I get to go get stamps on my passport. Abu Dhabi, here I come. This is gonna be great. Hello world, Elwoods is back, right? And I go and I do it, and doing it, and it's the same old story. And God is like, bitch, wake up. And so she throws me another curveball. I'm on an international plane trip, flying from London back to New York, and I'm in an emergency plane landing situation where I hear my pilot say Mayday twice over the intercom. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you have to be fucking kidding me. I survive toxic shock just to die in a plane crash? Oh no, this is not okay. Spoiler alert, I live, everything's fine. Plane lands safely, right? But I'm destroyed. The last, kind of ability to hold on and to pretend that this is okay and that I'm okay and that everything's okay is just out the window. So like any respectable millennial woman would do, I'm like, I need to save myself. What do I do? I sign up for yoga teacher training, right? Like, okay, you do it, right? And you're like, I don't know what's doing next. I'm gonna get a yoga teacher. I've sold a lot of people yoga teacher trainings off that. I know it works. So I become a yoga teacher and I'm so lost and I have no idea what the right answer is. And as I'm going through this yoga teacher training, and it is working because I'm becoming closer and closer and closer to my truth, closer and closer and closer to my worth. And what I'm realizing is this was never the life that I was supposed to live. This was the life that I was sold. This was the life that I was told I was supposed to want. And it all comes to a head, and I'm sitting in a therapist's office. I am days away from my 29th birthday. I am days away from successfully launching a rebrand that 25,000 people in my company told me would be impossible. I have 2 Stanford engineering degrees. I have a professional engineering license. And I started sobbing. And I asked, when am I ever going to feel like enough? I didn't even know that I had that feeling inside of me when it came out until I spoke it out loud. And I was like, you know what? If this is living the dream, I need a different dream. Because this is not for me. So with no backup plan and no clue how to heal myself, on my 29th birthday, I launched the brand. And I give my notice. And 5 weeks later, I enter into a world I've never known before, and I start to try to figure it out. And man, was that a mess. Okay? So it's not like, oh, it's not perfect. He's figured it out right away. No. I tried everything I knew. I got coaching, I got therapy. I started 4 companies. I folded 4 companies. I journaled. I blogged about it. I cried about it. I moved back home about it. And I did retreats about it, right? I spent every last dime of my savings trying to figure out how the heck to do something that I felt like made me worthy of being me. Only to figure out punchline. No one could teach that to me. No one could give that to me. It was something that I had to figure out inside of myself. And so what I learned through that was these really simple principles that I'm about to teach you that gave me the framework, the permission, and the space, if you will, to kind of do that, to be able to learn how to really take care of myself, how to believe in myself, and how to own my self-worth. And as I finally figured this out, right? I finally, 3 years later, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I got this. I was like, why didn't someone just tell me this 3 years ago? This would have been so much easier. Someone just been like, here are some steps to follow. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a good business idea. Okay, I'll do that. I can't be the only person who's dealing with this, and in fact, I'm not. So if there's anything other than it's okay to be selfish that I want you to take away from this, and Danielle certainly did for all of us just a moment ago, is it's okay to not be okay and you're not alone. And some of the people that you might admire most and you might look at and think they got their shit together, probably not. So now so that's how I get into this, right? I'm going to help people self-burnout. I'm going to help people not get to that stage and start to be their mirror and their microphone until they can start to believe in their own self-worth. And then Nanny McPhee, anyone in here know what Nanny McPhee is? Yeah, Nanny McPhee. So you don't need me anymore. Peace, right? You did it, sister, you got this. So how do I self-care like a boss? So BOSS stands for something